Hey everybody, it's Trigger Bar Philosopher. Welcome back out to the channel. Today we have another exciting episode. We're going to be taking a look at the Glock 45. Should be a good time. Let's get to shooting. Hey everybody, let's take a look at what we have here today. We've got the Glock 45 that has come directly from the Glock factory with the optics cut directly for the Aimpoint Acro. That's right, no MOS plate system on this gun. If you follow my channel, I do not like plate systems, and so I like guns that have been cut directly for a certain type of optic. And the way that I purchased this handgun was that I bought it where it already had different Amerigo sights put it on by the factory at Glock. Yes, they can put something on their Glocks other than plastic sights in 2024. And I got it with this Aimpoint Acro, and it was specifically cut by Glock. I didn't order this, of course. That you can buy these specifically cut for the Acro rather than using their MOS plate system. I think this is a fantastic option because, again, if you follow my channel, I do not like the MOS system. I don't like any plate system. I prefer a direct mount. And I also like that the features of this Glock 45. Now, according to what I know about this gun, the Glock 45 was made for the U.S. military contract. Of course, they didn't win out. They were asking for a modular system, and until recently, this was not very modular, especially relative to some of the other features that are out there on the market now, including the SIG. But what it is a it is a Glock 17 type frame, so length of gun, and takes 17 round magazines, but it has a barrel length of a Glock 19. Now, my gun in particular has something different. I have already put the Radian Ramjet Afterburner on this gun because I have that on my Glock 19 and I like that already. And with the Radian Ramjet, it basically makes this a Glock 17 type sized gun. So the full length slide and barrel with this compensator, and then the full length grip frame. Now, what do I mean by until recently did they make this more modular? Well, recently Glock came out with the Glock 49, and you can replace the grip on the Glock 49, add it to this slide without my afterburner, and then you have what is a Glock 19. You can replace this frame with the slide from the Glock 49, and then you have the Glock 17. So they've now become interchangeable with frames and slides to be much more adaptable. Now, it doesn't have a removable fire control unit. I mean, Glocks are very customizable, so I don't know how far off it is relative to what the military contract requested, but it's now, you could say, a little bit more interchangeable with the Glock 45 and the Glock 49 coming out together. So we're just going to take this gun out. We're going to shoot it. I do have my Glock 19 out with a shorter grip. I'll put in the upper corner what the magwell I have on here, but I did put on an aftermarket magwell. Now, I do like the extra length of the Gen 5 grip module. I like using the bigger one because it puts more space for me to put the meat of my hand on it when I grab this gun, but that doesn't work with the magwell, and I wanted to put a magwell on here, so I have just the regular one. So the main differences in what I'll be comparing today between these two guns is taking a look at how I manage recoil with a little bit longer frame, or a little bit more grip in the length versus a little bit more grip in the width. They will have the same slide. We'll also have different dots. The other one has the Holosun MOS dot on it, which is a direct mount as well. This is a little bit bigger window, but that's mounted a little bit lower. So I don't know, there's some comparisons to be had there. So yeah, so let's get to shooting with this gun and see what we find in the comparison between them. Let's just take a look at this gun. You can see how it is mounted very low with that Acro. It has a very deep cut in it. It does come with Amerigo suppressor height sights that are both blacked out. I do really like that. And then that Aimpoint Acro window is a pretty nice window. There we go. We can see the dot in the window. Okay, first up, we're only at about 7 yards. We've got some 124 grain self-defense rounds. These are not the first rounds that I put into this gun. I've been debating what am I going to do with a video with this. I wanted the gun. I think it's a great sort of self-defense, almost even a duty type gun that I can use on my external holster for, you know, end of the world type scenarios. and has all the Glock compatibility with it. And so that's one of the thoughts. Oh, I forgot to mention, I do have the TLR7 HLX Stream light on this. This is the new one with a rechargeable battery that really just puts out like an incredible amount of candela. I think it's interesting. So we're just going to shoot a little bit for accuracy, and then we'll do our comparison in a little bit. Okay, all of those seem to work pretty well, and the group is okay. I wasn't going super slow, but yeah, so what I have up next is I've got some 147 grain. These are some Winchester silver tip, and I'm just going to shoot them just to show it feeds pretty much everything that I have tested with it. So again, we'll kind of shoot for accuracy. Let's move the target down range at about 15 yards and see how we do there. All right, well, target is now down about 15 yards, so we'll see my groups open up, but we're also shooting that 147 grain ammunition. Okay, well, groups opened up proportionately as I moved out the target almost by double its distance, but still performing. Shot all those 147 grain self-defense rounds. For the rest of the time, we'll probably just be shooting some full metal jacket round nose. All right, let's move on. Okay, next up, we're going to be doing our muzzle flip test. We're going to shoot a couple of shots from both of these guns, measure the flip angles, and see if there's any difference to these very similar handguns. Okay, for those of you who have not seen me do this before, what I like to do when I'm comparing two handguns is break it down into slow motion, do a quick check on the angle and how they are rotating. So for this first one with the Glock 45 and the Aimpoint Acro, we got 8 degrees. Let's do it again because this is not a real precise way of measuring, and at least we're going to take 2 sample sizes and get 2 measurements. And so on this second one, we saw that we got around 9 degrees. Now 9 degrees, 8 degrees. This measurement or method of measurement is not that precise. Of course, this is just using my hand grip. Your grip will be different. What I'm trying to do is look at it, given all of those variables, fix them upon me, and then compare the two. So now we take the Glock 19, slightly different grip angle, smaller optic on it, and we see that we got 9 degrees, very similar. Could it be 10 degrees? Could it be 12 degrees? Absolutely. This is not accurate within 1 or 2 degrees even. But we're going to, again, follow the same protocol, take 2 measurements, and on our second measurement, we come up with and we got 10 degrees. Now, does this definitively prove that the longer grip for my sized hands is better? No, it doesn't. But this just gives us 2 comparisons to take a look at. Also, when I wanted to show you when I hold it in my hands, that was the Glock 45. Now we have the Glock 19. You can still tell I have my pinky and I'm able to hold it on at the bottom. So for my size hands, which are large, no difference. All right, well, next up, we're going to use our shot timer, and we're going to first shoot the Glock 19, then we're going to shoot the Glock 45. We have our targets downrange at a little bit more of a distance so we get some spreading out, and they're not all kind of in the bullseye, so we're down at 15 yards. And we will shoot 5 shots, and we'll see which scores the best and which pistol, if any, if there's any statistical difference between shooting these two. So we'll press the button and we'll go on the beep. Okay, so the total time was 3.34, and the first shot was 0.38, and the splits were 0.78. And we'll go down and take a look at the targets. We're going to have to bring a pasty. All right, well, this was not great shooting by Trigger Bar. Dropped the first one pretty significantly, and then we're more on target. Again, at 15 yards, that's going to be about what I'm doing. I'm not a full bullseye. But if we add all these up, we're going to give that a 0. We're going to give a 9, a 10, a 9, 18, 28, And then that's a, nah, it might have broken the 9, so an 8. So yeah, 36, I guess, out of those 5 shots. So that's not great. Next up, we have the Glock 45. We'll see if the little bit longer grip I'm able to control a little bit better versus the wider grip. My guess is this is just all statistical variation between what I'm doing, but we're going to shoot the lower target on the beep. And here we go. So first shot was 0.4, so that's a little slower, but I didn't throw it off as far. And 3.19, so a little faster. We'll go take a look at the group. I think the group's a little bit, we'll see. Well, I definitely got 5 shots on paper this time, so that's better. Okay, so we'll take a look at this. We have 2, I would call, in the 10 ring, and we have 2 in the 9, and then 1 in the 7, so that's by far going to count more. Let's run this test back one more time. All right? Okay, well, this time we're going to shoot the Glock 45 first, then we'll shoot the Glock 19 second, and we'll see if that makes any difference, and we'll see if I'm practicing and getting better, too. Well, my shooting wasn't better, that's for sure. So 0.23, again, I'm not going low ready, I'm on target. So that first shot is just my reaction to the buzzer, which is slow. 0.62 splits and 3.21. So not much faster. Let's go downrange, take a look at it, and probably arguably worse groups. Okay, not arguably, objectively worse. So that's maybe 1 in the 10 ring, 2 in the 9, 1 in the 7, 1 in the 7. Okay, now we have the Glock 19. Very similar, better than probably the last one, but very similar type shooting. I think it's pretty apparent that these are very similar guns. Oh my gosh, internet revelation. So let's take a look at, that's what I just shot with the Glock 19. I mean, you could argue that all of those shots are within the 9, so it was better than the previous 2 with the Glock 45. But let's face it, these are all statistical variations of how good of a shooter I am. So I don't think of enough of a difference to make a difference. I could, at any random time, shoot better than one versus the other. Okay, well, let's finish up. Today we took a look at the Glock 45, which I think is an excellent handgun. Some of the unique features of this Glock 45 is that it came with an optics cut from the Glock factory for the Aimpoint Acro, and then also it came with suppressor height sights, metal suppressor height sights from the Glock factory. Now, what it didn't do, if you compare this version with the B&T version that does something very similar, is that B&T actually sands down the bottom of the Aimpoint to get it even lower so that it can co-witness with more regular height sights. This co-witnesses with suppressor height, and jury's still out on whether or not shaving off the bottom of the Aimpoint Acro is going to make it more reliable or less reliable. Probably is the case. Nevertheless, I figured getting something directly from Glock was a good deal, and I'm glad they have this offering out there. And the deal that I was able to pick it up, by the time these Aimpoint Acro dots are fairly expensive. By the time you pick that up in a regular Glock, it was about what you'd pay for all of it, and I got a little bit of a deal on it. So I think that's something, if you are interested in, you could look around on the internet for. Secondly, I think that the Glock 45 system is a great system. There are some slight differences, and I'll roll in some footage when I show these next to each other. But there are some slight variations and differences between the Glock 45 and Glock 19, or Glock 19X, because that's really what this is very similar to. But for all practical purposes, these are very similar guns. And I'd say if you're just getting into the Glocks now, go for the Glock 45, go for the Glock 49, and then you have all 4 variations of the pistols that you can use. And you have kind of a modular system. So let me know what you guys think. Are you Glock fans? Are you anti-Glock? What's your favorite manufacturer of handgun? What do you think of the Glock 45? What do you think of Glock not winning the Army contract, especially in light of how SIG is apparently doing weird things with in people's holsters. So let me know what your thoughts are on that take as well. I really do like the Radian Afterjet. I think we saw not much of a difference, a little bit of a difference, not much of a difference in the recoil between these two guns with the Radian Ramjet. And all of that, again, will just come down into how I manage the recoil between one shot to the next. And I don't think, and I'm rolling in some footage now, that my hands, based on my hand size, which are kind of large type hand size, that's the kind of the glove size that I wear, I don't think it makes a difference between whether or not I'm using the Glock 19 versus the Glock 19X. So the Glock 19 versus the Glock 45. I can put all three fingers on the grip. And in fact, the Glock 19, where it sits on the mag well, it actually helps push my hand up into the frame of the gun and the top of the frame. And so I think I can manage it just a little bit better. I also think that with this MOS system, it's just a little bit lighter of a dot and lower seating, and I kind of like how that shoots. But the Aimpoint is a fantastic dot. Glad I have one now in my collection so I can compare it to others. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I hope everyone has a great week. Let's get you shooting.